Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Spiritual Journey podcast. This is a very, very, very special episode, and I'll go into why that is in a second. But I always love starting by saying thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I feel very, very blessed with this podcast. I started this podcast to really kind of guide people on the spiritual journey, help them to understand what they're doing, and kind of really simplify spirituality. And I feel so blessed with the messages I get. I feel so blessed with all the feedback. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And we're recording this the week before, but this podcast is in honor of Sidra Jafri. And Sidra, if you don't know, guided me to, when she was here humanly, she guided me to really understand I'm a healer, and really kind of helped me to understand why I'm here. She passed away in a fire in March 2020, aged only 38 years old. And it's her birthday today. When I released this episode on the 17th, I could say it would have been a birthday, but for me, she continues as a guide. So it's a great opportunity to kind of celebrate her and honor her memory. And how better to honor a memory than have a beautiful sister on this podcast with me. So Zara is with me. Zara, can you introduce yourself? And thank you for being here with me.
Thank you so much for having me. Hello, my name is Zara Jafri, and as Nimesh mentioned, I am Sidra's sister, and I'm the one who's trying and working hard to take her legacy forward, along with a lot of people. And it's just so exciting to be here, Nimesh, and I love being on your podcast. You should know that.
Oh, I love having you on the podcast, and especially today, right?
Yeah.
We talked about doing this episode a long time ago, and we knew we'd kind of release one on our birthday.
Yep.
And really, this one is all about honoring our loved ones. How do we honor our loved ones? What do we do? And, kind of, because it's important, right? And actually, before I jump into that, I should introduce myself. I've obviously just jumped straight into Sidra Talk, but I'm Nims. I'm an Akashic record reader, Akashic trainer, podcast host, podcast creator, as well as a spiritual coach and mentor. I love guiding people to shine their light. And I feel very, very blessed with the work I get to do. So Zara, before we jump in, why don't you do a quick intro for what you do on a regular basis?
All right. So what I do, I'm an awakening facilitator. Again, taking Sidra's information, all her knowledge that she has passed on to us, we are taking it forward through a platform called Key Light Center, where Key stands for Keep Empowering Yourself. Our motto is that no amount of prayer and magic can turn your wood into a table, which means that if you want to change your life and if you want to change how things are looking like in your life, you have to pick up the tools and techniques. Tools like ABC, EFT, energetic cleansing, meditation, transmissions, and just work your way there. In order to get there, you have to work. And that's what our agenda and our mission is, just to empower people with all these tools. And yeah,
I love,
that's about it.
I love it. I love it. Really well said. And actually reminds me of a conversation I was having with somebody else today about, we're talking about Akashic records, and Akashic records are a great insight into what your soul's going through, but there's no fix. We've still got to do the work, right? We've still got to. We're a soul having a human experience, and it's important that we do the work. So I love the way you described it. And today is all about a milestone celebration, right? How
Yes.
do we honor our loved ones? And I wouldn't be where I am today without Sidra. And you know, I've lost so many of the loved ones, mom and dad, and I know both Sidra and my dad are guides that watch over me. That mom watch distinction. Sidra and my dad are guides, so they are my spiritual guides. They push me, they support me. Mom's energy is different. Mom watches over me, and loves me, and but it's interesting how our guides support us. And even Sidra, when she's taught us so much, and you're talking about I'm continuing a legacy, so you. But it's also important that we have our own mission that's in line with theirs,
Yeah.
right? So it's important that when we're honoring our loved ones, we honor ourselves too and honor our journey. And it's like I always think about Sidra's work, and the message I always get from her is she wants us to use her work, but actually she wants us to amend it to what we do, just not
Mm.
blindly copy exactly what she wanted, because we have our own slant on it too, right? And it's just beautiful. I mean, when she left this realm, I could hear her voice, and I knew she was exactly where she was meant to be. And she's the one that pushed me to learn how to read Akashic records. She's the one that pushed me how to really start this podcast. This podcast is named in honor of her, has her initials, Spiritual Journey. Sidra's initials are SJ, Sidra Jafri. So I'm honoring her with this podcast. This podcast wouldn't be where it is without her.
Mm.
But also, this podcast won't be where it is without me. So there is a balance, right? And we
100%.
can't lose both of them.
100%. I believe that.
So when you think about, I mean, today's Sidra's birthday. Yes, we're recording it before, but today is Sidra's birthday. And when you really kind of step into it, and you're feeling her energy and thinking about how do you honor loved ones, how do you celebrate who they are, and kind of what do you do on a regular basis while honoring yourself?
Um, I think that in order, and I just want to mention it here about honoring. I think that, and if anybody who is listening and who have just freshly experienced this grief, this piercing feeling through the heart, and it's for me personally. Again, I think it's different for everyone. I believe that initially it was not about honoring. That's the truth, because the pain is so much. And I'm saying this to anyone who has just recently lost anyone, and if you're trying to jump into the idea of honoring, I think, and if you're unable to do it, or if you're unable to give it your 100%, please know that it does take time. It took me about 3 years to actually get to a point where I was like, okay, you know what? This has happened with me. I've experienced grief. And now what? How do I take it forward? What do I do with that? And I do, because of my work, I always say that my grief experience is a little bit different than, you know, I'm sure everybody's experience is different, but mine was a little bit tricky in a way because she crossed over March 2020, and in May 2020 I was seeing clients during COVID, online, and playing Sidra's meditation, and that was, and it could have been a great intention to honor her in that way, but I was so out of it in that moment in my grief that I couldn't, really understand the idea. For me, honoring, especially Sidra, is actually taking her work forward. And as you beautifully said, with a mix of, a little bit of a Zara factor in there, okay, who I am, and how can I bring her work more forward to a wider audience, or a different audience for that matter. So that's my first way to honor it, because this is something that she was so passionate about. Her last 6 7 years of her life, she has completely given each second, each minute, to the idea of the awakening. So when you ask me how do I honor her every day, this is how I honor her. And now it has become such an important part of me, Nimesh. Like, I was away for a holiday and for my birthday, and I took him, and I was thinking, oh my god, I really really just want to talk to someone, and I want to make them feel good. And I kid you not, the
Love it.
boat guy that we were just talking about, we went on a boat tour, and this was an amazing guide, and he was a native, and he was talking about, and I literally, for the 15 20 minutes straight, I just talked about the awakening, the principles of the awakening, the ABC, and then when I came back, I was like, okay, now
Love
I've
it.
done it.
The universe supports us when we're open to it, right?
I mean, I get that. That's how I honor her. Every my goal and my agenda and my mission. Every day when I wake up, I go, okay, just one person. God, just send me one person that I can really, really help them turn their day around. And I kid you not, every single day, by the grace of God, touch wood, I do get one. It could be a cashier at Costco, or it could be yesterday I had this really good conversation with the Amazon delivery person, like I
As you
would.
do, as you do, as you do.
So and that's how I honor her legacy, because that's how she was. We both have traveled with her. She would sit with in planes. She would be talking to somebody completely random, helping them out, guiding them, and
Oh yeah,
I
we'd be watching thing. Oh, Sidra.
yes, so it's fascinating, and that's the first thing that I think that I do specifically to make sure that I take her thing forward more. But I know that most people don't have this opportunity, to do it this way. But honestly, there are so many other ways that you can honor somebody you have crossed over. I ask this question, when somebody, it's so interesting when you have experienced grief, and in my friend circle or in my community, if anybody has crossed over, they usually look at me and go like, Zara, you say, because you have experience. And I kid you not, initially, I used to get very offended by it that, oh my God, who made me the master of grief here? But now, as with time, you
You
heal
understand
and
it.
you approach things differently. So I always ask them, if I hear anybody, especially a grandparent, I'll go to the younger kid and be like, okay, you know, what would you like to adapt from that person? So for example, if the grandfather crossed over and he was very big on charity, or if he was very big on some any other stuff, or if a grandmother, recently I had a friend whose mom crossed over, and I was talking to her daughter, and I was like, okay, how do you remember her? And she was like, oh, she was very well kept. And I was like, that's amazing, you can take that forward, dress up and be like, that's for you, granny, and call it a day. These little things,
It's,
because life is all about
true.
intentions.
But it's about celebrating the life, right?
Mm,
Just the example you gave, she's celebrating her life, and just and you're so right. I mean, grief is so unique. There's no right or wrong way, and everybody has an opinion. Great, everyone has an opinion, but however you process grief is unique to you. There's no right or wrong, and it's just the other thing I guess to mention, and I my both of my I was going to say I lost both my parents, but no, they're both of my parents have left this realm, and I was at a very different stage of my spiritual journey when they both passed away. Right, I always knew about reincarnation and the soul transitioning, and but I I know so much more about what the soul goes through now than then. I mean, it's been nearly 30 years since Dad passed away,
mm,
and the interesting thing is that I couldn't feel him on the other side. I couldn't feel his energy on the other side, and it was only with the work I've done and working with Stacey and others, but I realized that his energy on the other side is different
mm,
because he's ascended in some way, and so it's like I didn't recognize his energy because I was expecting his energy to be the same. So that's
mm,
another good bit of advice for anyone that's lost a loved one is be open to connecting with them on the other side, but be open to their energy being different and trust
100%.
your instinct because you'll know there's a knowingness in you, but it's like it's our expectations,
Yeah.
and it's not easy, right? Grief is so hard, but when you're going through something, and I was talking to a friend the other day, you never really get over losing a loved one, but you do get to a point where you start to celebrate their life rather than mourn their death, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And it is a journey. There's no time. There's no, but remembering what they did, kind of, as you said, what made them happy. It's just I think about my parents, and Dad was always giving. He was always there to help people, and that's in me somehow. And Mum was very loving to the family. She was the one that would get us all together. And ironically, this is when we all get together. We normally get together at my place. So it's kind of you carry on their legacy in your own kind of way, right? But
Yeah.
it's really important to think about what is it that they enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And then you start to celebrate their life, and you start to, and honoring Sidra in the best way that we can honor Sidra. It's interesting you were talking about helping that one person, because I always say, and I use Sidra's words, my purpose is anyone I connect with is to leave them better than I found them. That's my
Yeah.
purpose. So it means that anyone that connects with me, I want, because people to remember how you make them feel, not what
100%.
you said. So I want people to remember me by how I made them feel.
Mm.
And that's our legacy. That's what we can leave in this realm. And I quote Sidra all the time, and sometimes I don't even realize I'm doing it. It's just like it's just in my DNA. So she's impacted my life, including my parents. It's like they've impacted me in ways that, unless you stop and think and consider, you don't always realize.
Mm.
And that's such a great way of just honoring them. It's not blindly kind of doing everything they did, but realizing and appreciating the impact they had on your life, and parts of your character that you love. How much did they influence that?
Yeah.
And as you said, what you do on a regular basis, maybe you're already honoring them. Of
Mm.
course, I mean it's you're going to remember milestones. I mean, Sidra's birthday on Monday, and I'm sure we're all going to be happy and sad. And what she on her birthday, she'd always want to do something. There's always
She was so big on birthdays. Yeah.
whether it was a barbecue here or an event here, or I remember Soul Spa, was just near a birthday. There's always, and it's like for so many people, they don't necessarily want to celebrate the birthday anymore. It's like we talked about it before we started the podcast. It's like it's just another day. Well, no, it really isn't. It's a
Mm.
way, so for our loved ones that are no longer here, remembering them and celebrating their life on different days. Why not? Just do it.
Yeah.
It,
100%.
it brings me to a story about Sidra. Actually, wasn't planning to talk about it, but I remember when she was planning her birthday, and she was like, we were going to do, I think, a picnic in the park, Hyde Park in London, and just have, it's like a client thing too.
With onesies.
Yeah, and she was joking. She was joking with me one time, and she's like, "I know you're gonna." She's like, "I know you're gonna buy me something for my birthday." I'm like, "Sure, Sidra. What do you want?" She's like, I'd love some onesies." I'm like, so I was just, I have a sense of humor with her, so I was just joking with her. I'm like, "Yeah, sure, as long as you wear it on the picnic." I was just joking, just joking. And what does she do? She's like, "Oh my god, that's such a great idea." I was like, "Okay, what's the great idea?" She's like, "No, not just me. We should all wear onesies." I was like, "How did I get myself into this?" So she's probably the only person that could convince me to wear a onesie in the middle of Hyde Park in public at an event. So
But you all pulled it so well, by the way. I still have some pictures from that
yeah,
day,
so
and
do I.
I remember I had some major FOMO, and it's 2016 that you're talking about.
Yeah.
2016, June 17th, and I still have some pictures from that. Everybody's wearing onesies and running races, and it was such a fun thing to remember.
Yeah, I mean, she had a way. She could get me. She can get under. She could get under. She still does get under my skin like nobody else could. And expand me and kind of. But she could also get me to do things that again other people can do, and just
Yeah,
and I. It's like I'd always be angry in the moment, but I'd always look back and realize she had a purpose in what she was doing, and that
yes,
was
yeah,
it just So again, like we said, grief is very personal.
yes,
But how you decide to honor loved ones when they've left this realm is unique to you. There's no right
yeah,
or wrong way. And again, everybody will
mm,
have an opinion.
yeah,
But do what feels right to you. And
yeah,
I would encourage you to connect with your loved ones
mhm,
and be open to their energy and the vibration being different, but have a conversation. Feel
yeah,
their vibration, feel their energy. And, it's like when I think of Sidra and everything she did, I'm just this weekend, I was in Glastonbury and I could feel her energy around me all the time. And on the way back, I stopped at Avebury, a stone circle. I know Stonehenge is close to, it was one of our favorite places. And I could feel it. So just be open to feeling them around you. And, when it's mom and dad's birthday, or near their time and I want to celebrate them, I'll always do things that they would like to do. Go
yeah,
to places that they used to enjoy doing. And why not? Right.
yeah,
And, and I get it when it's early on, you probably may not want to go to those places because
Mm,
memories it brings. But then just stop and ask, well, hold on, what can I do today that would honor me and honor them?
yeah.
And
And
look,
and
if you
it,
want to cry, cry.
cry 100%. Cry it out.
You know, it's like some people say, get over it, whatever. Get over what? We're a
Yeah.
soul having human experience. Enjoy the experience.
Yeah. And imagine when you a lot of times, and the culture that I belong to, a lot of times when you experience grief, and and you're crying, people would come up to you and say like, oh, your sister wouldn't want you to cry. Your Please don't buy into that. If anybody is listening, and please be true to your emotions and your feelings. I did. I think that this is something, and I think it's because of her, because of Bajia, I had this experience as well, that I fully owned my emotions. I was crying, I was throwing tantrums, I was moody, and I was just living every second of it. And I think that's what really, really helped me to get to a point where now, right here, right now, or in 2024, I can sit and I can be like, okay, how can I honor her more? What can I do to take my experience that I'm having here and really merge her into my day-to-day life? It's just and the only reason, again, that I'm able to do this is because I think that I've lived every emotion, every experience without the fear of, oh, I need to get over it, or what the people around me are thinking.
Yeah. And how often do we do things to try because we feel that's what we should be doing?
Yes.
Grief is one of those things that you got to do what's right for
Mm,
you. There's no, and it's I really feel Sidra was preparing for it. She was always say to, I'm sure you too, that she's not going to be here. She's not going to be here. And I was just like just assuming Sidra being Sidra, right? It's just
mm,
but there were certain things that she did, like few the months before leading up to her leaving this realm. I didn't really hear from her much. I was
yeah,
supposed to be in India at the Soul Spa, and I couldn't make it last minute. So, and it somehow she always used to call me a trump card, and what she meant with that is she was preparing me, and she'd need me up front at different times, so she'd use me as a trump card, and I never understood what she meant until she left this realm. Because in some way,
mm,
the podcast, this everything I do is in honor of her, and she's calling me out as her trump card, and I feel so
yeah,
honored and blessed in that. And just and
yeah,
that's the thing with loved ones is think about, and this is what listeners think about everything they've taught you. Think about maybe some of the things that and some of the things they used to say, and what does it mean to you now?
yeah,
Because it's really because I remember when mom passed away, I was like, when dad passed away, he went on holiday in India, and I wasn't there, and I was angry not physically being there. And then when mom passed away, I was actually on a Bob Proctor cruise, and I think I've talked about this on this podcast before. But I was on a cruise. We were just leaving port. I was with my sister and some friends, and me and my sister was like, something's not right. We're not feeling some things, and we got a sense that something wasn't right. We were just feeling really. We were like, not sure if we should go on this cruise. We were already in Miami, and we went, and then you know spoke to my brothers and overnight from the cruise, and she passed away the next day. And I was so angry at myself for just still deciding to go. When the morning that I left mom's place, she was not well, and she was like, I'd have these stomach issues sometimes. Don't worry about it. I'm going to be fine. And I was just, why did I go? I was like, I wasn't there when dad passed away. I couldn't. And actually, to be fair to him, Bob Proctor agreed. He heard what was going on. So he's like, I want to see them before they leave, because we were obviously going to undock and catch a plane back. And he's like, and he asked me, he's like, how do you feel about it? And I'm like, honestly, I'm really angry at God. I was so angry at God. I'm like, I wasn't there when dad passed away. Why would you do this to me? And Bob Proctor just said, just remember, you are where you're meant to be. And honestly, that phrase, and I'm sure I annoyed all my family for the next whatever period because I used that phrase and it got me through it. It was like, I am where I'm meant to be. And knowing that we can't look when we come and when we go into this world, it's not in our control. It's kind of So knowing that, when mom passed away and when Sidra passed away, everything is divinely timed how it should be.
Yeah.
Humanly, we're going to miss them, of course, but it
Yeah.
reminded me that, and it was just like, I now, I've had conversations with mom from the other realm, and actually Sidra helped facilitate some of those conversations. And, the message was from mom was pretty much, look, if me or my sister were there, she wouldn't have been able to leave this realm.
Mm.
So we weren't meant to be there. But hindsight, I know that now, right? But at the time, I was so angry. And it's like, you talk about, you said when people say to you, you shouldn't be crying, and, Sidra wouldn't want that and all that. I remember so many people being around, and I just wanted everybody to go, just leave me to myself and just let me process. And it's just like, just be kind to yourself. Just
Yeah,
know
you
that you
100%.
are exactly where you're meant to be, and that whoever whoever you're mourning, their legacy lives on in you,
100%. Yeah.
and honor that legacy. So just, Zara, I know I went off at a tangent there, but I can
No,
feel
thank
it.
you so much for sharing this. You're so right because I had this thought when with the whole March thing and when with Bajia's passing. This it's so interesting that this experience of
Side note: when she says budget, she means Sidra.
oh yeah, I mean Sidra, yeah. So a day before, so on March 18, Nimesh, we were in Mazatlan at that time, and I just couldn't stop crying. And I remember I was sitting in the balcony, and my husband came in, and he was like, Zara, what's wrong? You're being so ungrateful. You're in Mexico right now. I said, I don't know. I just feel so heavy inside. I just feel like that I want to cry so much. And you know what? I called her because
Mm.
it was daytime here. It was middle of the night there, and that was my last conversation with her. She picked the phone up, and it was a video call, and it was all dark, and she goes, oh Zaru, I'm sleeping, I'll talk to you later. And that's what the conversation was. And because I just it was because she was my go-to person, and she still is, honestly, even though she's not here. Anytime I'm stuck anywhere, she's like, but yeah, you have to come help me. That's how I connect with her. Like, that's so I did feel that. And the second thing that's so interesting that you said that you missed your parents' actual death. And I'm a little bit selfish here because I think that it's not more about she not being able to leave. I think if I was there and it was happening, I would have been in the grave with her. I kid you not. I would have jumped. And I think everybody who knows me or who has, been
Uh,
talking to me knows that me and Bajia were like this. She was everything. I always used to say, and it's so funny because when she got married, she moved to UK, and every birthday and every occasion, special occasion, she would send me money. So there's this phrase in Urdu that my father used to make fun of, कि, oh Britania se aid आई है. Britain has sent aid. She use it for I would
no,
my first from my first phone to my furniture, and I would send her pictures. Should I get this? So we were that close. So I cannot, and I'm so grateful, Nimesh. I kid you not, to the point that once I found myself while I was praying, I I had this feeling, and I went, thank you so, so much, God, that I wasn't there when this thing was happening, or I would have never survived it. I know that for a fact. So
yeah.
you are so right the way you're saying that we are always where we are meant to be.
And I get it. It's hard to accept sometimes.
Yes, but it's true. Like if anybody is listening, and if it may not make sense to your logical mind, or some of you may think that, oh, it's a coping mechanism. Maybe it is, but it works.
Honestly, if you want to get angry at God, get angry at God. If you want to get
Yes.
it, just And it was weird. I mean, the timing of Sidra leaving this realm. It was like even when I heard she was in a fire with Eva, and Eva had left this realm, and Sidra was 80-90% burns. I still thought, it's Sidra. She'd be fine. It's just there was something in me, and it's like when I got the
Nimesh,
news, I'm like,
but
I'm
I
like,
never thought she's gonna make it. You know that the
it's just
first
weird.
phone call
Yeah,
that I got, and our beautiful friend Serena, who has been so amazing back then, and I honestly wish her so
splendid,
so
summer.
well.
Yeah,
God, the moment I received that phone call, I was like, and everybody, because I had my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law, and they all came and they were like, no, no, she's gonna be okay. She's budget. And I was like, I remember she used to say, the first sight of light, I'm checking out of here. So I don't know why. That's the only thing that kept going in my head. And I'll tell you what. After that, I had this huge wave of guilt because I kept saying, or I kept thinking that, oh my God, if everything is energy, and I was so, and I am so close to her, maybe I didn't give her hope, or I did, you have
Yeah,
these questions,
yeah, of course.
and
You're going to question what could you do differently, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But now at this point, I honestly, I understand that it's a really hard experience, but we all have to remind ourselves that we are here for a limited time period, anyways. We are going to experience life ups and downs, and things are going to happen. And I have faith, and I believe that when it's my time, she will be on the other side receiving. I just keep telling this to myself.
I mean, and she's here now. You know, she's here. You feel it's like actually. I've had so many listeners message me, and it's just like saying they could feel Sidra's energy. It's like I've had clients at work that've never met Sidra. It's like
What's
when
here
they listen to the podcast, it's like it feels like she's sitting next to me. It's like so her energy goes on, and
on, and yeah,
the
yeah.
timing of her leaving this realm just before lockdown is really interesting. It's just like how these things happen. Just
That's like a dream. And
they are divinely timed. There's no, and yeah, just honoring your loved ones and just carrying on their legacy is such an important
yes.
part of your soul contract.
Hmm. You had to experience grief, you experience grief.
Yeah, and I knew that I was playing safe when Sid was here,
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, me too.
and it's
Guilty
just
as
like
charged.
when she left, there's something that sparked in me that says, "Oh shit, I'm now got to show up." Because I was always expecting her and relying on her. Sid will do it. Sid will tell me what I need to do. Da 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 da. And it's like, oh, okay. It's like having the rug taken. It's like, and this is the other thing is asking yourself how are you going to honor you and how are you going to honor the legacy. And look, you don't have to ask yourself straight away. It depends where you are, and it comes in stages. But connecting with them and listening to the message. I remember maybe a year or so ago, I was like, Sidra, I just want a message from you. Just tell me. And it's like, I was driving. I'm like, you know what? I was listening to the radio. I'm like, Sidra, the next song that comes on is your message to me. I just asked them. I mean, it's like, and there's a song by Emily Sandé called "Read All About It" Part 3, and it's just like when that song came on, it's like I've always say my voice is my gift, and it starts with "You've got the word." I'm not going to sing, by the way. I'm not going to sing in voice. I've got a speaking voice.
I was getting excited. I was like, yay, Nimesh is singing.
No, I'm not
Go
gonna.
on.
You don't want to hear that, but it's like you've got the words to change a nation, but you're biting your tongue. You spent a lifetime stuck in silence, afraid you'll say something wrong. If no one ever
Mm,
hears you, how are we gonna learn your song? So come on, come on. You've got a heart. You've got a heart as loud as lions. So why let your voice be tamed? Maybe we're a little different. There's no need to be ashamed. You've got the light to light the shadows. So stop hiding it away. And that, look, when I was growing up, I didn't have a voice. I mean, I
mm,
was and I've always been trying to find my voice, but why? And it made me think, why am I not using my voice more? And but the reason I share that is, again, your loved ones are going to communicate with you in so many different ways, and just
mm.
be open to whatever that looks like.
Yeah, 100%. And also, I just want to add here, it's so interesting that you said that, because a lot of times when we experience grief, and we hear stories or things, or people sharing their experiences, that how their loved one has connected with them, or even the person who has crossed over is connecting with them in a certain way. If you're anything like me, and if you have I initially, I felt that I was like, okay, I don't get those signs. I ain't getting no, these epiphanies sitting. I ain't getting any connections or radio songs. That's not.
Are you asking? That's the question. Are you asking?
I've been asking. Okay, 1 second. Let's rewind a little. I have asked, but I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. What I have learned over time is that as you, and it's so interesting, that's why I'm telling you this, because you have repeated this idea that we have to understand that the way people connect with us from the other side is extremely personal, and it's
Yeah.
catered to you only. So if, again, as I said, if you're anything like me and you're getting upset that why is she not showing up in my dreams, it doesn't have to be dreams. It could just be this thought, a memory sometimes that makes you smile. It could be for Bajia, I think a lot of her work, it was from her journals. She wouldn't even know whose journal she's writing, and she'll pick it up and she'll start writing stuff on it. So a lot of my personal diaries journal as her, and to the point that one of them goes, "Oh, Zaru, I'm sorry, I forgot this is yours. It's cuckoo o'clock in my head right now. It's 3 a.m." So she has this whole information written, and I took that as a sign, because
Yeah.
there are only two ways of living your life, either believing that everything is a coincidence or believing nothing is a coincidence. And I think personally for me, my life dramatically changed and got a whole lot better within, inside, when I started receiving life in a manner that everything is planned, everything is happening for a reason. So even when I pick up the book and I'm opening it, and there's some random writing in there, I will take it as a sign, especially if I've asked a question.
And
So I
that's the
think that
key. Your answer may come in any form.
any form, yeah,
Sometimes we
please
get
know
so
that.
rigid in expectations that, you know, that things are
Mm,
going to come a certain way. They don't. It's just,
mm.
they're not. And actually, I feel the need to, there's a, there's a poem that I always use with my clients as lines from it that and I'm just going to read it out. It's called The Invitation. For some reason, I just got the message to read out. It's by Araya, the Mountain Dreamer. So bear with me. It doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for and if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longings. It doesn't interest me how old you are. I want to know if you're willing to risk looking like a fool for love, for your dream, for the adventure of being alive. It doesn't interest me what planets are squaring your moon. I want to know if you've touched the center of your own sorrow, if you have been opened by life's betrayals or have become shriveled and closed from fear of further pain. I want to know if you can sit with pain, mine or your own, without moving to hide it or fade it or fix it. I want to know if you can be joy, if you can be with joy, mine or your own, if you can dance with wildness and let the ecstasy fill you to the tips of your fingers and toes, without cautioning us to be careful, be realistic. Remember the limitations of being human. It doesn't interest me if the story you are telling me is true. I want to know if you can disappoint another to be true to yourself. If you can bear the accusation of betrayal and not betray your own soul. If you can be faithless and therefore trustworthy. I want to know if you can see the beauty even when it's not pretty every day, and if you can source your own life from its presence. I want to know if you can live with failure, yours and mine, and still stand on the edge of the lake and shout to the silver of the full moon, yes. It doesn't interest me to know where you live or how much money you have. I want to know if you can get up after the night of grief and despair, weary and bruised to the bone, and do what it needs to be done to feed the children. It doesn't interest me who you know or how you come to be here. I want to know if you'll stand in the center of fire with me and not shrink back. It doesn't interest me where or what or with whom you've studied. I want to know what sustains you from the inside when all else fails. I want to know if you can be alone with yourself and if you truly like the company you keep in those empty moments.
I
If,
love it.
if there's something that reminds me of Sidra, that is
It's
it.
this.
It's her. It kind of, she pushes me to the edge. And the reason I share that is whatever songs your loved ones, whatever things that, there's messages there for you too, right? There's just, and just be open to receiving in the songs you listen to, in the text, and just, there's beauty around you and inside
Yeah.
you. And I really do believe our loved ones continue to support us from the other side in their own unique way.
Yes,
So if our
100%.
stories about Sidra, my stories about parents, whatever, if that don't resonate, be open to feeling the connection of loved ones and celebrating them in your own unique way.
Yep.
So Zara, what's happening next week? How are you celebrating? And I know this podcast is obviously a big part of it. We'll be released on the 17th.
Yes. So we are having a webinar actually on tools and some techniques that she has shared with us. It's at 7:30 a.m. Vancouver time, which I think is 7 p.m. India time, I believe. I don't know what it's UK time. But Nimesh, can you check? Can
I
we
will
quickly
check. I will
check?
check. Yeah.
All right, perfect. So we are having a webinar where we'll talk about um, some tools and techniques to live a more awakened, more conscious, more aware life, a life that has intention. I truly believe that that's what, at the end of the day, that was SJ's mission as well. She wanted people to live their lives with intention. Have an intention. Why are you doing what you're doing? So it applies in your relationship, in your work, in your purpose, in your health. So yeah, so we are touching on that. So what's the time, UK time, Nimesh?
It's 3:30 UK. So 7:30 a.m. Pacific. That'll be 10:30 a.m. EST, and it's 3:30 p.m. UK.
Amazing. Can I, is it okay if I give a little link?
Of
It's
course, I'll
for the,
include in. Well, you can say that, but I'll include
okay,
in the show notes as well.
so it's um, keylightcenter.com/June. So it's
Beautiful.
easier to remember.
Yeah, and I'm sure I'll be on. So it's not
I
gonna.
hope
Next,
so.
I need to put it in my calendar, but yeah, I'll definitely be there.
Please do.
Um, and the other thing I want to do this week is, Sidra's left so many meditations, and
Yes.
they're all available on Kila Center, the
Yep.
website you mentioned, and I will release one of her meditations. I don't know which one yet. Zara's going to pick it for me. Just volunteering you there, Zara. So,
I
and
will.
her meditations are so beautiful. I listen to them all the time still. So whichever meditation we pick, if it resonates with you, please listen to it. It'll be released as a bonus episode this week. But at the same time, there's so many other meditations, so many meditations around, the elements of love, power, whatever you're going through, there's something there for you. So I encourage you to just check it out and listen to her meditation. And like I said,
Mhm.
I want to get it out there because and I guess I should, so when you listen to my meditations, you'll see, we say some of the things that, as an intro, in terms of, things like, this is your time. Nobody needs anything. Nobody wants anything. There'll be certain things that you'll hear in my meditations that I've gotten from hers. And I'm not copying her. I'm honoring her.
Of course.
And just, it's like at the beginning, I remember I was like, wait, hold on. Shouldn't they be my meditations? And I remember I went through and I was like, well, no, stop. Just stop. But please do listen to her meditate. I'll release it as she continues to do what she does. And anyone that listens to the podcast have heard me talk about her before. She lives on in so many different ways. So I feel so blessed, Zara, doing this podcast with you. We did our first Soul Spar event together this year. I just feel the work I get to do, I wouldn't be able to do without SJ. So
Yeah,
I feel
100%.
very
I
honored.
yeah. I the
Honored.
100% Nimesh. I think that how, and I'm so so grateful for her in that way, that I'm so, by the grace of God and with her guidance, I try to be more aware, more conscious about my emotions. I have started communicating my emotions so much better, and just experiencing it. I literally, to the point that, and I think I've said this in the previous podcast as well, I wake up in the morning and I go, today is going to be a great day. And then by the end of it, I'll be like, oh, well, it wasn't. Let's try again tomorrow.
But
It's,
again, you can celebrate. There are probably some great moments in that day.
I'm sure, yeah, but it's just about being aware and conscious and being true to
100%.
how you're feeling.
And
Nimesh, can I also share some of the other things that people can use
of
to honor
course,
if
I was going to ask you that anyway. I was coming on to that, of course.
one other thing that I think really, really helped me is planting a tree. And especially if you are, I'm sure that UK has that option as well, especially if you have been in North America with the whole fires and stuff, there have been literally asking people to plant trees. So
That,
me
that,
and
that reminds me what Sidra wanted to do. She wanted us to take her ashes and put it in planted
the
trees.
pot thing, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, so that's what we are. So that's, you can do that. You can go, just Google it, find it online there. And if you're in BC, here in Vancouver, they're actually looking for some oak trees. So if you can plant a seed. There's this very beautiful saying that I want to share. A wise man is one who plants a seed knowing very well that he'll never be able to enjoy its shade, but he still go ahead and plants it because it's for your future generation. So please, I think it's a great way. And with this whole idea about the Mother Earth experiencing what it's experiencing, please do that. Or that's first thing that I recommend. The second thing is feed someone. I truly believe that it's a great, great way to honor a loved one. Um, the world is going through a little bit of a difficult experience nowadays. So if you can donate, and I think food is one thing that really, really helps. Yeah.
Nourishment.
So,
So
so please, these two things, that plant a tree, get this food thing going. People do. I see that people have these. They donate to charities, which is great. But I'm a nature person, so I would always, go for planting a tree.
yeah,
I even gift it to my kids on their birthdays. We'll go plant a tree,
but
and that's.
it's,
I think we should
it's,
definitely do that.
yeah, and but whatever, think about the loved ones and what did they enjoy doing.
Yeah,
It's interesting you talk about feeding people because that's what Dad always used to do. So it's like
yeah,
quite often we'll do things for people in India or wherever, right? Or go and feed the
yeah,
homeless. But it's just I know I'm doing it because I want to do it, but also because that's what he used to do. But it's just what did it's like maybe time at the beach and being in water, maybe planting a tree, or it could be a rose, it could be a flower, it could be
oh, yeah,
anything that you kind of resonate with, and do it with love. And just they'll feel the energy and be open to knowing that they're there and watching over you.
yeah.
So Zara, how else if people wanted to work with you, reach out to you?
So I do one-to-one sessions. You can book a session. It's really simple. If you go on my website and just go book a session, and you can pick a time. And when during our sessions, we do energetic cleansing. We try to keep. I always say that to anybody who I have a session with, that when you're experiencing something, you're so emotionally involved in that situation that sometimes you're unable to see a different perspective about it. And the truth is that life is all about perspective. The sinking of the Titanic was a miracle for the lobsters in the kitchen because they were like, yay, we're going back. So when you come into a session with me, I do provide different perspective. We do energetic cleansing. The tool that Sidra has provided us, ABC, which is accessing body's consciousness. We do that. We access where you're holding that memory in your body. We release it. And as a result of it, you start feeling a little better, lighter. You have a fresh mindset, a fresh pair of eyes to look at the situation, the challenge that you're experiencing. So yeah, so if this is something that you're interested in, you're more than welcome to go on the website, book a session, and I'll see you there.
I would highly recommend it. I'll include Zara's website details on the show notes. And Zara, I'm going to ask you for two journal prompts. So just while you're percolating that, I'll also mention that me and Stacey have a once a month Zoom call. So this month is 20th to June. It's actually summer solstice, but depending where you are on the planet, it's a solstice.
Mhm.
Summer solstice for me. It's a great opportunity to reset your energy, and for sure I'll be honoring Sidra in that session. So join us. I'll include the link. It's a 90-minute free healing session. You can be on screen. You don't have to be. We won't record. The only part we'll record is the meditation, and we also open the Akashic records and channel a message. That part which you're not speaking, I will record just the voice part, and I'll publish that as a podcast usually. And everything else is confidential. So do join us. For sure, Sidra's energy will be there. It always is. Maybe I can convince Zara to join us this time around. I'm not sure, but hey.
I
But
might.
so Zara, so what's I
No,
would
I
like
got
to,
stuck on, and again, I do highlight. I got stuck on the Akashic record. I was like, oh, I wonder if I should book an Akashic record. It's been a while.
Yeah, that's true. It has been a while. You know, you
It has
should.
been a while, yeah.
If you're getting the
You
call, I
should.
mean, Akashic Records. So we'll do a group Akashic on there, and a group Akashic is really a message for the collective, and for sure you might get your messages. For an individual reading, if you feel inspired to, really, I connect with your guides and I channel a message for you, and always because you give me access to your guides, your soul. Always love doing that. So yes, if you feel called to do that, please do that. Um, but Zara, what's the general prompts? So if somebody's going through and everything we've been through, what general prompts could we leave our listeners with to truly connect and journal about?
So the first one would definitely be, if you haven't given it a thought, that how can I honor, my loved one? And it's I know that we have done a whole podcast on gratitude, but I really, really want to say this. I don't know why, but there's this quote that goes that regret is stronger than gratitude. That's why you see more flowers on the grave than people actually receiving flowers. So one of the thing, I know that's not a journal prompt, and I'm so sorry, but I just have to
Yeah,
finish this. That if you have a loved one, please make sure that the person knows that how grateful you are for them. One of the things that allowed me to be so content and at peace right here, right now, is the fact that I know that I was so grateful for her even when she was physically around. And I'm even more grateful right now that, she has this amazing connection with me and she helps me out with stuff. And I'm so, so grateful. So if you're someone, who has these beautiful loved ones around, siblings, partners, parents, and please do express your gratitude right here, right now. It makes the grieving process really easy, and especially towards our parents.
I love it. I love
Um,
it. So that's clear.
Again,
Go and tell one of your loved ones how much you love them.
yeah, let's I think that, yeah, that should be a great one. After listening to this, just give somebody a call and tell them, how special they are for you. So the first journal prompt, again, coming back to the question, is that asking yourself how you can honor the legacy of your loved one a little more. What can you do in their honor? The second thing is that what lessons you have learned from their life, because there's this saying that whoever doesn't learn from people who have already crossed over become a lesson for people who are about to come. Please don't be an extension to the people who have already experienced this planet. So please learn their lessons, whatever they have already learned. Don't repeat it, just experience something else. So I think that's a great journal prompt, that what can you do different? What can you experience something that they haven't experienced? How can you do things your way differently? This journal prompt has really, really, opened up a lot of things for me. And so I thought I'll share that with you guys.
I love it. I love it. Zara, I love having you on this podcast. It's just
I love being here. Thank you, Nimesh.
yeah, just such a beautiful energy, and I love the work that you're doing. I'll always be one of your greatest supporters. So thank you. And for all our listeners, thank you for listening to this podcast. I feel so very blessed. And if you're going through something, honor whatever you're going through. Be present in the moment, and you know, if you are grieving, then grieve. If you
Yeah.
want to cry, cry. Honor whatever you're feeling, and just know this too shall pass. And it does change, right? Do you ever get over losing a loved one? Maybe not, but do you start to celebrate their life instead of mourning the death? I truly believe you do. Time
100%,
is right.
yes. And
Zara,
Nimesh has very smartly ticked off his being grateful for a person. That I'm so grateful. So before I forget, Nimesh, I'm so grateful. And honestly, Nimesh, if it wasn't for you, you know how I am with these. I don't know. I feel like such a boomer sometimes because of this whole podcast and Instagram. I really have to put it in my calendar to go live. But thank you so, so much for giving me the platform and just the opportunity to share my experiences and my story. I genuinely, genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate you so much.
oh, thank you for those kind words. And I'm sending everybody so much love and light. And if you are, like I said, if you are grieving, you're going through something,
Mm.
honor it, be with it, and know that, spend time and feel the energy and the love around you. I really do believe the universe loves us. So allow yourself to feel it. And Zara, I'm going to hand over to you to close us out.
Oh, all right. Thank you so, so much, everyone, for listening to us. And I hope and I pray that If you are somebody who's experiencing grief, this podcast helped you in a way. And I hope and I pray that you learn and get to a point where you're able to celebrate the person who has crossed over. And again, I thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank
Mish,
you.
I don't know how to close it. You do.
You,
You do such a good job.
you did really well. Sending everybody so much love and light. Zara, thank
Thank
you.
you
I love you
so
very much.
much.
Bye for now.
Bye.